Hello viewers, Elements 118, and it's time for some more World of Warships. I've shown you destroyers before, I've shown you cruisers, I've shown you battleships. It's now time for the final class of ship in World of Warships, the aircraft carrier. It's no surprise really that an aircraft carrier is a ship that carries aircraft. It's literally a ship that can be defined by rearranging the parts of the word that make up its name. It's not something you can usually do with when you're describing something, but you can do it with an aircraft carrier. Now let's get stuck in with some gameplay. Currently I only have one aircraft carrier. It's the Tier 4 American aircraft carrier. It's called the Langley. And it's probably the slowest ship in the game, but it doesn't matter. It's perfectly alright for getting you started with aircraft carriers. Looks like we're getting into a Tier 5 game. 3 Tier 5s on the enemy team. But it doesn't really matter. I've just got aircraft. Now the Langley only has 2 squadrons of aircraft to get you started. There's a squadron of fighters and you get a squadron of torpedo bombers. You do also get dive bombers in World of Warships, but the Langley doesn't have any dive bombers, which in a way is a good thing because it means you can get used to the sort of aircraft carrier thing before you get up to Tier 5 with the Bogue. That does get dive bombers. Of course, I haven't enabled the replay system in World of Warships. There is a way to do that. There are other videos that show you how to do that. So this is all going to be live gameplay. I have no idea whether it's going to be any good. Because I'm playing it, it's probably not going to be much good, but I just want to give it a head start as to what you can expect when you're driving an aircraft carrier. As soon as we actually enter the battle. It takes quite a while for the first battle. And this is what it looks like once the battle starts. You get an aerial top-down view of the aircraft carrier, and the first thing you need to do is set a waypoint like this. And that's the course that the aircraft carrier itself, under autopilot mode, will try to get to. And as you can see, it is a very, very slow ship. My fighters are up and my torpedo bombers are going to follow. And I've told my torpedo bombers by clicking above the fighters to follow the fighters. So I'm going to send the planes over here. We've got some ships that are coming up early. Enemy ships have already been spotted. What we got? Got some destroyer down there putting some torpedoes in the water, anticipating that something's going to come round. And there is a destroyer. It's going to dodge the torpedoes. I've just noticed there's a bunch of enemy planes in the air. I'm going to tell my fighters to try and go and attack them, but I want to keep the torpedo bombers separate for a minute. Shall I attack the destroyer? You see, torpedo bombers aren't very good at attacking destroyers. So therefore, I'm not going to use them against the destroyers. There's a lovely looking battleship over there. That's what torpedo bombers really, really love attacking. Dive bombers are the best to deal with destroyers, really, because they just come straight in, of course. Torpedoes have to travel to the target. Although there is an advantage with torpedo bombers over... There's an advantage with torpedo bombers over surface launched torpedoes, because they of course get launched far closer to the enemy ship that you're attacking. Looks like half of those torpedoes were launched into the ground, which is not ideal. Yep, one hit. Caused some flooding. Caused some kind of critical damage, I think, and knocked the steering of that battleship out, and now he's steaming towards an island, which is quite nice, but my fighters are not doing very well. Yeah, they've got a Bogue on the enemy team. It's a tier 5 aircraft carrier, which means that the fighters are going to be better than the fighters that I've got. But luckily you do get reserves, and I'm able to put another full health fighter squadron at the ready, taking off as we speak. Again, you can see just how slow the Langley is. It's not even halfway to where I wanted it to go yet. This is fully upgraded, by the way, this aircraft carrier that I've got. But the fighters still are pretty weak, unless they're fighting against the same fighters. Unfortunately, there's nothing for them to fire at. Of course, they're only fighters. They can only fire against enemy planes. My torpedo bombs are ready, so I'm going to get them launched and send them over there somewhere. And I need to get the fighters somewhere where they can find some enemy aircraft. Fighters... No, I don't think they are under attack. Yeah, they're under attack by some anti-aircraft. There's a single fighter there launched from a ship. So, get my fighters to attack them. I don't really care about losing fighters, because I do that all the time. I'm not very good at keeping my fighters alive. Torpedo bombers have dropped the torpedoes in the water. There they are. Yep, the single fighter has gone. No casualties to my fighter squadron, which is excellent. But again, all they're doing right now is just spotting all these enemy battleships, which in a way is useful, but we know that they're still already there, so I need to get my fighters over really to the other side of the map, and that's when I just spot another group of enemy fighters. So let them have a go with those while I survey the battle situation closer to home. See, that's where the aircraft carrier was when I last looked over here. Although, I have just realised, with autopilot mode on, it only goes at half speed. I never knew that. Oh well.
Group 3, maintaining present course.
Right, go this way. Torpedo bombers. Fighters.
Group 2, airborne.
Go this way, because that's where some enemy fighters are. Away you go. Now then, let's concentrate on the torpedo bombers again. Oh, closely packed ships. And those torpedoes are looking pretty accurate.
Group 3, taking fire.
No, I want you to act at that one, not... I should be turning around any minute. I'm going to make an attack run on that cruiser. Yep, the torpedoes are now in the water.
Group 3, returning to ship.
Just watch the torpedoes going in. If they do go in, yeah. That cruiser is turning far too late. Which means 2 of those torpedoes hit and I take off a massive chunk of that cruiser's health. Oh, enemy torpedo bombers spotted. My fighter squadron is now only half health.
We're under attack.
And unfortunately, my ship is now under attack. So, I think I need to move the waypoint of the ship a bit. Get round the other side of the island. Because now they're to the west, the enemies, rather than towards the north. Now then, how are my fighters doing? I've lost another fighter. I've found a carrier. But that's no good. He's just launched another group of fighters and I'm now out of fighters. But as I mentioned before, that usually happens. Because I'm not very good at preserving their health. Torpedo bombers are rearmed. I've still got all of my reserves of torpedo bombers, of course. It's just the fighters that I can't keep alive. You get 9 reserves of each in the Langley. And I've still got all 9 of my torpedo bomber reserves remaining. The other carrier on my team has also sent a large number of torpedo bombers in this direction. My ship's been detected again.
Approaching target. Group 3, we're under attack.
There go the torpedoes. This cruiser looks like he might have seen them coming already and is turning frantically. There's more torpedo bombers going in. I'm going to get 1 torpedo hit. Yep, and then the other carrier gets the last hit. And kills him. Sinks him, rather. Now, I do need to bear in mind that there's a full health enemy fighter squadron in the air nearby, going after the other torpedo bombers. I want to cover myself from this battleship that's coming from over here. Well, he's on very low health, mind you. Being tormented by this cruiser over here. Torpedo bombers, again, refueled and rearmed. But I need to be very, very careful what I'm doing here.
Maintaining present course.
Because of the enemy fighters, and it's a full health squadron. By the time they get over to that battleship, he's probably going to be dead. The cruiser will have probably killed him. Which means the torpedo bombers have only got 2 other targets. And we don't have to worry about those. Because we have captured the enemy base. So that was actually a victory. A battle in which I do not sink. But then again, in an aircraft carrier, that might be what you'd expect more often than in any other kind of ship. What some people assume when they go from World of Tanks to World of Warships is that aircraft carriers are a bit like artillery. Well, no, they're not. Mainly because, well, artillery in World of Tanks tend to strike without warning, whereas enemy aircraft get spotted long before they can make an attack run on you. So it shouldn't come to any surprise if you suddenly see air-launched torpedoes in the water. Although, if you aren't paying attention, that's a different matter. So you do have to be aware of what's going on around you at all times. Not a great deal of damage caused. That's the total damage if you add up the torpedo hits and the flooding caused, but it's better than nothing, and it got me 4th on my team by base experience earned. And so there we are. That is a brief overview of aircraft carriers in World of Warships. I hope you have been at least a bit entertained, or if not educated, by this video. And as always, viewers, good luck on that battlefield, and I'll see you next time.